Oh boy, we have a lot to break down in this video, guys. We got to break down some earnings from AMD, PayPal, Sofi, Airbnb, and a bunch of other ones. And we have to go over the markets, talk about what happened today, where I'm seeing the markets going, charts I'm looking at, all that good stuff. But before we dive into that, make sure to get your free money from Moomoo. You get 10 stocks, each up to $2,500 with a $100 deposit. And guess what? You can also get 12 stocks from Webull with any amount deposited. All of that is linked down below, the free stocks. And with that being said, cheers, guys. Let's dive into the video and talk about what the heck is going on in these markets, because today was a red day, as you guys can see, and we had a lot of volatility across the board. The VIX went up 5%. We had the S&P, let's see here, closed down 0.7%. The Russell pretty much broke even, but it was leaning more towards the red as the NASDAQ 100 went down 0.3%, and we had the Dow Jones get hit the most, and that doesn't always happen, but today was one of those days where the Dow went down over 1.2%. We had gold go down, let's see here, about 0.5%, as silver went down 2%, and let me pull up oil and see where that's trading at. Crude oil is still at about 94 a barrel. This thing is pretty much at break even on the day, currently down 15 cents when I'm filming this video at about 4:48 p.m. on the East Coast. So let's go over what I'm personally seeing and where we could see the markets going in the short term and what levels I'm looking at. So on SPY here and Triple Q, we see a clear-cut head and shoulders on this intraday chart. That's what ended up happening today throughout the day. You guys can see we had a lot of volatility. Triple Q started the day at about 313, went to about 318, shot back down to about 313 at the close. You guys can see here, again, like I said, a head and shoulders, and we closed right around $314 on Triple Q, as SPY ended up opening up the day at about 408, shot up to about 412, and it ended up closing at about $408 a share. So in the very short term, and I did cover this very briefly in my previous video, but I'll cover it again quickly here for you guys. SPY, I'm going to be watching in the very short term here, $407 on the downside, or on the bottom, whatever you want to call it, or as an upcoming support level. Because if that point breaks, which happens to be the low from today, also from a couple trading days ago, if that point breaks, which I suspect is very possible considering the way we closed the day today and the fact that we still are pretty stretched above these moving averages, I feel like we could end up going down to the lower 400s. I'm talking 400, 402. That is where this could be going. And let's say we break under 400 on SPY. Maybe we go down to 395. Maybe this thing retraces down to the 180 SMA. And believe it or not, even if SPY goes down to 395 overall on the 4-hour chart, especially if we're looking here in from the past couple of weeks, the bulls would still be in charge, even if SPY got down to about 395, in my opinion. Let me know if you guys disagree with me, as always, in the comments. So I guess we got to watch 400 to 405. That's going to be a key spot for the bulls here in the short term on SPY. And when it comes to Triple Q, we got to watch right around, let's see here, I'd say about 313 on the bottom. If that were to break, we're probably going to go down to about 305, 306, right by the 50 SMA on the 4-hour chart. And on the upside, you guys see my alert is at 320. If 320 breaks in the short term, which is possible, Triple Q could still, even though it is a little bit overbought here, momentum could still take it up to 330. So we got to be patient. It really looks like the markets these past 2 days, Monday, Tuesday, to start off this week, they've just been pretty flat, kind of consolidating, cooling off because of after the big run-up that we saw, like I mentioned in previous videos. And you guys know the markets have been very hot recently, so it makes sense we're cooling off a little bit Monday, Tuesday this week, and we'll see how the rest of the week goes. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, guys. And if you haven't done so already, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe if you do like the content here, because we make content every single day, multiple videos, and I try my best to break down the stock market for you guys, news, charts, earnings, all in one. We're not just a technical analysis channel here, not just a fundamental analysis channel. We try and do everything stock market related. And I might not do the best job, nor do I claim to do the best job out there on YouTube, but I try my best, and hopefully you guys can see that through these videos. So with that being said, let's talk about some earnings. We had a lot of companies report today, guys, and like I've mentioned, last week was the big dog week, right? This week is still an important week, though. We had AMD today, PayPal, Occidental Petroleum, energy stock. We had Sofi, Airbnb, Starbucks. So let's talk a little bit. Let's break down what's going on. AMD, which is Advanced Micro Devices, you guys know this company. They reported, and let me tell you, the stock is selling off as of now. It closed at about $99. It went up about 2.6% on the day, and it was actually over $100 earlier in the day. That was actually in the middle of the day. And now after the bell, guys, you can see, again, we closed at 99. This thing shot to $90. It dropped 10% just like that right off the bat. And now, excuse me, guys, it's hovering in the mid-90s, right around 94, 95 bucks. It's currently up. Well, it's not up, but it's up 5.5% from the aftermarket $90 low that we hit, and overall it's still down from the close of the day today, about 4.5%. So AMD did adjusted EPS of $1.05 versus $1.03 estimated on revenue of $6.55 billion versus $6.53 billion estimated. And they see Q3 sales of $6.5 to $6.9 billion versus $6.82 billion estimated. So the lower end of that range is a decent amount lower than the estimate, which could be one of the reasons why the stock is selling off. And they see full year 22 sales of about 26 to 26.6 billion versus 26.18 billion estimated, which I would argue that's pretty good. So they beat EPS on an adjusted basis, adjusted EPS beat, and we saw revenue beat. Q3 sales, maybe the lower end of that range was under the guidance, all right, as full year 22 sales is looking pretty good. So I'm not sure why AMD's selling off. Obviously, the stock market works in a mysterious way. The only thing that I could argue is, hey, maybe it got a bit overbought, which makes complete sense, and the earnings weren't perfect, I guess you can say. They weren't amazing. They were good, solid, but they weren't amazing. And the stock was literally $71 not even a month ago, and it's up about what? With considering today we closed at $99, from $71 to $99, that is a 40% run. So it's up 40%. They reported numbers. It was very overbought. The numbers weren't amazing, stellar, and the stock's coming back, pulling back a little bit, which makes complete sense. And honestly, it's healthy. You guys can see here we're still well above the 180 SMA. We're actually right by the 50 SMA now, where buyers came in at about $90. Now, again, we're in the mid-90s. So let's see how AMD plays out. $90, $95. That is where I'd be looking to see if buyers come in and maybe push this thing back over ultimately $100 to maybe $110 a share, which would be where the right shoulder and this inverse head and shoulders that you guys see right here, that's where that would complete by the looks of it. So nice earnings report, I'd say decent from AMD. And we'll see how the stock ends up playing out. Now, the other one here that I want to break down, and mind you guys, full disclosure, I don't own AMD anymore. I used to own it, sold it, made some good money on it, and I've been out of it for a while at this point. But this next stock I do own. I do own this, and I've recently been buying it. It's PayPal, ticker symbol PYPL. PayPal today closed a little bit under $90 at $89 a share. It went up 1.2% on the day, and look at it now, guys. It is breaking out. It's at $100 a share. PayPal is up about 12%, 12% after the bell, which is awesome. So they did 93 cents versus 86 cents estimated on EPS. That's a nice beat, 7-cent beat. And they also beat on revenue, $6.8 billion versus $6.78 billion estimated. And they see full year 22 sales pretty much right in line with the estimate, a little bit under, $27.85 billion versus the $28.18 billion estimate. So that's all right. I guess the market's kind of shrugging that off, considering EPS beat and revenue beat. And they raised their full year adjusted EPS guidance to $3.87 to $3.97 versus $3.85 estimated. That could also be a reason why the stock's moving. They ended up raising their adjusted EPS. So let me see what else we can see here. Q2 total payment volume, 339.8 million, up 9% year over year. And they're doing, wow, share repurchases of $4 billion in 2022. So they're buying back their own shares. That is interesting there. That's pretty good. I like that when I see my companies buy back their own stock. You know, it's not the best for every company to do that, but we're not going to get into, how companies allocate their money in this video. We're not going to do that in this video. That's an in-depth topic. But overall, I'd say that was a good report, and the investors, the trading community, whatever, the market makers, if you will, they're moving the stock up. You know, they liked it. And we can see here PayPal's trading at a multi-month high. Last time PayPal was over $100 was back in when was that? April? Yeah, April. So it's been about 3.5 months, and it's not fully out of the woods yet. I mean, it is above the moving averages. We have a golden cross, but in the grand scheme of things, PayPal, if you pop up a yearly chart, still on a downtrend. If you pop up the 3-year chart, you guys can see clearly it's still on a downtrend. It's getting obliterated still. But I guess this is a good step, and it's a step in the right direction. Let's put it that way. So we'll see. We'll see how things go down the rest of this year, guys. For me, I'm a PayPal owner. I've been using the product for, close to a decade at this point. I still use it to this day with my business here on YouTube, all the other stuff that I do. I use PayPal. So yeah, I like it. I like PayPal. I'm holding on to it. Let's talk about another one, Occidental Petroleum, OXY. They ended up doing $3.16, or actually no, maybe that's unadjusted. I have written here 347. Let me double check. Looks like 347 EPS versus 302 estimated. Okay, adjusted it was 316. I'm not sure what they did on revenue. It's not saying it here. I don't know why. I thought it would update it by now. Here it says cash flow from continuing operations, $5.3 billion. And overall, Occidental Petroleum, it's not doing much. It's down about 60 cents here after the bell, and we're noticing, and I've covered it before, but I'll say it again, we're noticing this double bottomed, broke out of the moving averages. We have a golden cross, and we're struggling. We've been for the past roughly week at about $66 a share, and I think if 66 breaks on Oxy, there could be a move towards at least $70. I think $70 could hit, which was the high from the beginning of June, middle of June, and from there, if 70 breaks, mid-70s, right around the corner is what I'm thinking on this particular stock. So I like Occidental Petroleum, OXY. I'm watching it. Sofi, which I'll be honest, guys, I don't BS you guys on this channel. I haven't looked at Sofi, really covered it, or really have been tracking it for months at this point. So I'm not sure what to expect here, but let's see. Sofi is at $6.40 right now, $6.40, or at least it closed at $6.40. And after the bell, it is at $6.85. So it's up about 7% right now. And we're noticing, let's see here, earnings came in at 12 cents, negative 12 cents for EPS versus negative 13 cents, estimated on revenue of $356.09 million. Let's see what the estimate on that was, $346.48 million. So it looks like they double beat. Beat EPS, beat on revenue, cannot complain. And again, the stock's up 7% on the aftermarket, or in the aftermarket. And like the previous stock we talked about, or a stock before that, PayPal, it's still on a downtrend, even though they did pretty well on earnings. And honestly, it's still under the highs from just 10 days ago. So PayPal's at a multi-month high, but Sofi is at really not even a multi-day high. Well, I guess it is at a multi-day high, but it's still under $7, which I'd say in the short term, that's a big level of resistance. So in the short term here, I'm going to put an alert. Mark is at or above $7, and I'm going to be watching what it does at that point. If Sofi could break the highs from the end of July, $7, the next spot I see it going, $7.75, followed by potentially $8 a share. Those are the next couple of gaps, as you guys can see here on the upside for Sofi. So let's pull up Airbnb. ABNB is the ticker. They ended up doing, let's see here, adjusted or not, it's actually unadjusted. EPS unadjusted of 56 versus 44 cents estimated. Revenue of $2.1 billion versus $2.11 billion estimated. So they beat EPS, slightly missed on revenue. They see Q3 sales of $2.78 to $2.88 billion versus $2.77 billion estimated. So Q3 sales is above the estimate, which is good on guidance. We love seeing that. And the stock is moving down. We close at $116 a share on the day, up 4.6% on the day. Very strong day in the midst of a red market. And now we're down to 105 after the bell. Airbnb gave back all the gains and some. Double the gains, guys. It's down 10%. It was only up 4.6% on the day. So Airbnb is getting clapped after the bell. You can see here on the 4-hour chart, now we're going back towards, we're under the 50 SMA, but now we're going back towards the 180 SMA, which is right around the low hundreds, 100, 105. Let's see if buyers come in there at some point tomorrow, this week. Let's see what buyers do at 100, 105 on Airbnb. If it cracks under 100, I think bears are going to get the advantage from that point. We shall see. Now let's pull up Starbucks. SBUX is the ticker, if you guys didn't know. They ended up closing at $83, down 1.4% on the day. And Starbucks right now, after the bell, is up to 85. It is up 2%, pretty much recouping the losses and a little bit extra here after the bell. So Starbucks did 79 cents EPS on revenue of $7.6 billion versus $8.1 billion estimated. And like AMD, Starbucks is a stock that I used to own, but I sold out of it. I used to own it in the 70s. Funny enough, the same price as AMD, and that's kind of weird how that worked out. I think I mentioned that months ago, or probably a year ago at this point, when I ended up selling out of these. But I bought AMD and Starbucks in the 70s, and I sold both of them in the low hundreds, and that's weird how that worked out. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm watching Starbucks, and I was hoping it would get under $70 a share, but it didn't. It reversed on me. Now we're back in the mid-80s, and I'm not going to buy it in the mid-80s, and I'm looking at it as a long-term investment, guys. For me, bang for your buck, best bang for your buck on Starbucks is obviously, I mean, as low as it can get, as long as the fundamentals stay intact, of course. But realistically speaking, best bang for your buck, based on what I'm looking at, is the $50s, $60 range on Starbucks. And we're just not getting there. And for me, I'm pretty strict on when I'm buying individual stocks, on the prices where I'm buying them. I'm not just going to buy them no matter where they are just to own the company. That's the dumbest crap you can do. The worst piece of advice or not the worst, but one of the worst piece of advice people give is like, oh, just buy what you know. Buy what you like. I mean, that's so dumb because people are going to be like, oh, I like Apple. I'm going to go buy Apple stock, regardless of where the valuation is. And investing, it's all about numbers, guys. It's all about valuation, or a lot of it is, depending on who you're talking to. A lot of it is, and you have to pay a good price to get a good return long term. I mean, you could buy Apple and get an awful return over the next 10 years. Think about it. This person A could own Apple at $10 a share and get a crazy return. Person B could have bought it at $180 and horrible return, right? It all depends on the price that you pay. Keep that in mind. And for me, to get the return that I want, Starbucks, it's got to come down. It's got to come down to the 50s, 60s. And if it does, I'll buy it. I'll be waiting there with open arms. I'm going to buy Starbucks. But until then, I'm waiting, and I'm just looking at it more as a short-term trade opportunity, right? And a good thing here from their earnings that I looked at very briefly is they opened 318 net new stores in Q3, which is solid. So they're still opening up, stores across, and I'm not sure if that's, I'm assuming mostly in the United States, but we'll see. I have to look deeper into the numbers and see where, the other locations those are at. And the last stock, guys, which didn't report earnings today, but it does later this week on Friday, is Draftkings. And we got to mention it. Even though I sold out of Draftkings, I wrote that against my gains. I took a pretty decent loss on Draftkings. It wasn't a big position, but percentage-wise, I took a big loss. I'm still looking at it here as a short-term trade, potentially. It's breaking out at a multi-week high. You guys can see that. It cracked above 14.60 recently. We're well above $15 now. In fact, after the bell, this thing is up another 40 cents. It's up another 2%. So DKNG, it might have more momentum moving forward here based on the technicals that I'm seeing now, but don't get it twisted. Like a lot of these other stocks, DKNG is still well within the downtrend, so keep that in mind when you're looking at it. So with that being said, guys, I guess that's a good spot to wrap it up. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. Check out my Patreon if you want all my real-time buys, sells, call-outs, morning videos, more access to me throughout the day. That is linked down below on Patreon, or you can go to stocksurfest.com/Patreon. And don't forget to get your 10 stocks from Moomoo with the $100 deposit. Each of those could be up to $2,500, and you could also get 12 stocks from Webull with any amount deposited. All those free stocks, the Patreon, are linked down below. And with that being said, cheers, guys. I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. As always, I appreciate your support. Keep crushing the market. Stay safe out there. Peace out.